The extraordinary tale of how Einstein's brain was stolen after his demise. He was a genius who stunned the world with his theories and was aware that his brain was under threat. He, therefore, asked that his body be buried following his passing. But unfortunately, there was someone who was quite interested in his body and demanded a thorough investigation. The doctor subsequently took the brain and cut it into 240 little pieces. Yet, despite years of research, he came up empty-handed until one day when his study completely shocked the world. As we can all agree, Einstein was brilliant. He would collaborate with more than 1,000 scientists because of how much of a genius he was. Einstein worked on issues we had never even considered, much less understood, and simplified them for everyone. Scientist Albert Einstein astonished the entire world when he published the theory of special relativity, defined E equals mc squared, and created the photoelectric laws. He was given the Nobel Prize as a result. Many thought Einstein had an extraordinary brain that was very different from an average human due to his fantastic thinking and understanding of power. This is something that Einstein was well aware of, which is why he opposed posthumous studies on his body. Instead, he had requested that his body be cremated, but the same happened, which Einstein feared. On April 13, 1955, Einstein passed suddenly at Princeton Hospital. When the doctor arrived to perform the autopsy, he secretly took Einstein's brain because he was curious to see what was inside the brilliant man's head. Dr. Thomas Harvey was the doctor who took Einstein's brain. The Princeton Hospital fired him after they learned about the incident. Dr. Harvey successfully convinced Hans Albert to permit him to study his father's brain and make the findings public. That day was the start of a long trip for that brain. Dr. Harvey was a pathologist who knew only about post-mortem. He believed he could examine this genius brain. But he lost both his position as a pathologist and his work at Princeton Hospital. He took Einstein's brain to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where he split it into 240 tiny pieces and took several photos of the brain. He stored them all in his basement, keeping each item in its own container. Because of this, it resulted in arguments between him and his wife. Ultimately, the disputes led to a divorce. Dr. Harvey then traveled to Wichita, Kansas, where he began working as a medical supervisor. He also tried to understand Einstein's brain in his free time. After that, he frequently changed jobs and moved to other cities. Dr. Harvey could not conduct reliable research on Einstein's brain even after many years. His medical license was also revoked. And things for him got so bad that he had no choice but to start working in a plastic factory. At the time, he made a good decision to send different pieces of the brain to the top neurologists in the world for in-depth research. In 1985, 30 years after the brain was first taken, a study on Einstein's brain was published. For the next 28 years, multiple neurologists have published broad research on this genius brain. It showed that Einstein's brain was very different from the average human brain in many aspects. The most significant difference was found in the corpus callosum part. The human brain is divided into two parts. Whatever work a person does is processed in one part, then the brain sends a signal to that part of the body. The left brain controls the right half of the body, while the right brain controls the left. But what is the function of the corpus callosum, and how does it connect to Einstein's brain? Think about using two hands to type on a keyboard or a mobile phone. Both the left and right hands are typing some alphabets simultaneously. Your left hand made a mistake while typing, so you swiftly corrected it with your right hand. This indicates that when your right brain makes a mistake, it informs your left brain to fix it. The corpus callosum connects the two halves of the brain, and Einstein's corpus callosum was larger than ordinary humans. That suggests a strong connection existed between his left and right brains. Because of this, Einstein was able to picture complex problems and situations. Einstein's brain had a unique structure and a unique corpus callosum, and scientists think this was the reason for good neuron flow. He had excellent computational ability, as evidenced by his healthy neuronal activity. Albert Einstein could solve complex mathematical problems intuitively without using a calculator. According to a research paper, another reason for having a high number of neurons was that when Einstein's brain was weighted, it was 1,230 gm, but it is 1,400 gm for normal humans. The lining of his brain was thought to be relatively thin, which caused his brain to have more neurons. However, the biggest argument was whether Einstein's exceptional brain existed from birth or developed over time. Research revealed that when Einstein was born, he didn't begin speaking until he was 5. He preferred to speak less and had less memorizing power. He was an expert at understanding numbers logically rather than memorizing math and numbers. He did extraordinarily well in math and science, but struggled in other subjects in school. A family teacher left his geometry book in Einstein's home when he was 12. Surprisingly, Einstein finished reading that book in a single day and solidified his geometrical conception. He also became an expert in integral and differential calculus by the age of 14. He had such a firm grasp of math and science that when he raised his hand to ask a question, professors would get tense since Einstein's queries were hard for even teachers to understand. He desired to reduce the laws of the universe to a single equation from an early age, and achieving this goal became his life's mission. Einstein shocked the world when he published 4 academic papers at the age of 26. He received a PhD and the Nobel Prize for his extraordinary contributions to humanity. Many medical professionals and researchers concluded that Einstein's brain became special after his birth. Einstein's brain is currently carefully preserved in microscopic slides and kept in the Mutter Museum of America.